Welcome to Sex Tales, where we normalise all things sex and relationships. I am Lucy Frank. I am a psychosexual and relationship therapist. And fundamentally, what I'm interested in is breaking down misconceptions and really having real conversations with real people about their lived experiences. I'm here with complete positive regard. I have no judgment. It's just about understanding people's worldview so that we can also all gain from that fundamentally. Today, I'm joined by the absolutely fantastic Daviana, the one and only, and we're going to be talking and delving in a little bit about her trans journey as an amazing woman that she is here today, and also be delving into a little bit about her world of coaching, particularly in the remit of DNS and sort of power play and those interactions. So I'm so happy to have you here, Daviana.
Happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been watching you for some time. I've been kind of looking and interested in your story, and obviously, you're a real truth teller. I think that's what people, resonate with to a certain degree. So the first thing probably to kind of just kick off with is, how would you yourself just describe your identity? As you're here today, what would you be saying?
What would I be saying? I would be saying,
Yeah, what are you saying?
my identity is that of a human. I'm a biological male. That's my identity. I don't feel as though we need identifiers.
Sure.
Like, I don't believe that I need to identify as he, him, she, her, or anything like that. Like, I'm a biological man, so he is fine. I'm trying to present as a woman, so she is appreciated. So, like, as far as having a quote unquote identify, like, how do I identify? Like, I'm a human.
Sure. Okay. And I suppose, what do you think part of the story, what part of your story do people potentially not see online? I mean, obviously, we've all got a huge part of our story that people aren't seeing, but what might they be most surprised about?
I think people are most surprised about how manly I was, and how, like, I went from being as manly as I was to wanting to be this. Most people are more surprised by, like, I don't understand. Like, you were this good looking guy and big and strong, and you're a Marine and this, and now this. So I
Mm,
think that's the biggest thing that everybody is always just like, I don't get it.
yeah. Okay. So can you give me a little bit of that story? So how, at what point, I suppose, there was some sense of incongruence, and I know, we spoke previously, and you kind of talked about childhood a little bit, but just, yeah, again, without delving too much, but just what's your journey of that
So
transition?
to go into it, like, I would say, like, to give the initial story of pre therapy without digging into my mind and figuring out, um, I can remember, like, to the day and what I was doing and what I was watching. I was 6 years old watching an MTV video and wishing to God I was one of the girls in that video. Uh, I had no idea what that meant, and, like, I didn't think too much about it, and, you know, growing up, like, I liked to wear my mother's nylons, her boots, her skirts, like, stuff like that, like, when she wasn't home, like, and again, I didn't know what that meant. I just knew that it was not appropriate, so, like, I stuck around to do it, and, like, I just continued to try to fit in because fitting in was easier than not fitting in.
Yeah.
Without getting into the whole therapeutic side of it, like, that's where I was as a child. Like, I had no idea what I was doing or what I was going through or what was happening or why I was doing the things I was doing. I was just like, "This feels good. This feels right, and I wanna do it, so I'm gonna try to do it as much as I can."
But there was something where you understood that it was different, or you felt some shame about it because you were hiding it.
Yes. Couldn't tell you exactly what that feeling was, except for the fact that I had 2 older brothers, and I had a lot of, like, friends that were, boys. I played on a soccer team and stuff like that, and, like, as far as I knew, nobody else did it,
Yeah.
so like it wasn't something that I was about to talk about.
Yeah, sure. Was that difficult? Was that hard for you?
I mean, we're talking about 40 years ago. So
Of course.
like to like, sit back and be like, was that hard for you? It's like it was 40 years ago. Like, was it hard for me? I would assume it was hard for me, but at the same time, I think what the hardest thing for me was trying to fit in and just not really liking fitting in. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Like I
Yeah,
felt more
absolutely.
comfortable sneaking around and doing
Yeah.
those things, and I felt more happiness in doing that than it was like trying to fit in.
But there was some kind of outside looking in, if as far as I'm taking in what you're saying.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. And then you were talking about obviously, this big strong man and, you've gone into the Marines. So can you just talk to me a little bit about that if that's okay?
I grew up in a town that is now drastically different than what I was when I grew up, but like so uh I graduated high school in 1996. So growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, like anyone being publicly out as like you didn't hear about trans people. Like it wasn't nobody talked about it and certainly wasn't in schools. Uh but like the school I went to, we had two gay kids and they were openly gay because they were just so flamboyant, like, it was unavoidable. I'm sure there was probably more, but there was 2, and they were picked on all the time. And then, like, my school was predominantly all white. I think we had, like, 1 or 2 black kids, maybe 1 Spanish kid, and maybe the random exchange student, like, that very seldomly came in, like, so it wasn't like this broad pattern of people that I went to school with. So it was very much like, gender norm roles and stuff like that. So like it was like, okay, if you're sitting here watching 2 boys that are being flamboyant and, doing their hair and looking as pretty boys as they can and they're getting picked on, like you're not about to come open as like, "Hey, I wanna wear women's clothing." So, like, for me, I just thought it was wrong. All my siblings went to school, like college, and then I
Mm.
was just like, "You know what? I'm gonna join the military and see if the military can, like, make a man out of me." And I
Did
was
you
like,
almost feel like that, like whip me into shape, you
"Yes."
know?
And, so, like, I was like, "I'm gonna join the toughest branch there is, so I'm gonna join the Marine Corps." And I absolutely the first 2 weeks of boot camp, I absolutely hated it. Um, and then I learned to kinda, like, survive through the day step by step. Um, but there was still always, like, that desire to not be the boy,
Yeah.
and it never went
Yeah.
away, ever.
No. So what was the point, I suppose, where you thought, "Actually, do you know what? I'm gonna own this, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna nurture it, and I'm just gonna go with it." Because that's a brave, bold move, well, it may or may not be, that's not for me to say, but but in the framework of what you've said, it feels like a bold move.
So for me, it was like, I would say I continued to dabble in, like, hiding things from people throughout, you know, 2 very good serious relationships. I'm married twice, divorced twice. I had one, uh, my very first wife that like kind of embraced it a little bit. My second wife, not so much. So like kind of hit it. And like, it was just kind of like me telling myself, like, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get married. This is what men do. You get married and you have a family and you do what man does and that's it. And then after my second divorce, I was like, you know what? I was like, I am going to open my mind and do and try everything under the sun at least 3 times before I say no to it.
Okay, alright.
Uh,
A bit like Yes Man.
yeah, and, it's very much so like, I kinda, like, skipped over one whole part, like, so my last year in the Marine Corps, I was introduced to and we can probably get into this later, but my last year in the Marine Corps, I was introduced to uh, the whole bondage and kink and fetish lifestyle.
Got it.
So we'll
Okay.
come full circle back around to that. But yeah, so right around like 2014 is where I was just like, that's it. I'm like, I wondered what it was like to be with a man. I wondered what it was like to like play with myself in different ways and play with multiple people and do all this stuff. I was like, I'm gonna try everything. I'm just gonna try it. Like, why not? Like, I can't say no to something unless I've tried it. So like, what's the point? So, and then my now ex-wife and mother of my daughter, I told her right off the bat, like literally the second date I met her, I told her, I'm like, look, I like to dress in women's clothes. I like to put makeup on. I'm into bondage, kink, and fetish, and like this is my life. And she was like, okay,
Okay. So really accepting.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like the relationship I had with her, she was very okay with it as long as it was behind closed doors, and that was great. But the more behind closed doors it became, the more I wanted to do it, and the happier I was doing it, to the point where I was like changing my work schedule to make sure I had like full days to go home when she was at work and our daughter was at school, to where I could go and spend a whole day dressing up as my female persona, uh, and stuff like that. And then our marriage broke down, not because of that, but just really bad communication.
The root of most of my work, I've got to be honest.
Yeah, and then to be honest with you, like, I started therapy, like, almost immediately, and I think I was, like, 2 or 3 sessions into my therapy sessions, and, like, I literally asked my therapist, I'm like, "Can I come to therapy, like, as how I really wanna be?" And she was like, "Oh my god, I would love to." And the first session I showed up dressed, and she was just like she's like, "Oh my god." I'm like, "What?" She goes, "You are so bright." She goes, "Everything about you." She goes, "You look happier." She goes, "You can see a weight lifted off your shoulders." She goes, "This is you." She goes, "100% this is you." And then we spent like the next 2 to 3 years trying to figure out, okay, how do I deal with this with having a daughter? Like, how do I come out to her and how do I make it okay for her? And we searched high and low to find research where there was other parents that wanted to transition that had kids as young as I did. And we found like one case in London, and that was it.
Really?
Yes, that was it. Other than that, we didn't find anyone. It was like, at the time, I was the only male transitioning to female with a daughter that was under 10 years old.
So it sounds like what you're saying is obviously that kind of that therapy was really instrumental in that part of the journey, and being able to, to be open to open up. I mean, obviously, again, this is, I'm helping people often with it's actually these areas. So can in terms of what happened with your daughter, how has your daughter taken it? How has this transition been for her?
She has been, amazing. Nothing nothing short of amazing. I mean, the I've encouraged my daughter. We had the ultimate father-daughter bonds. Like, her mom went back to work at 8 weeks. She was strapped to my chest 5 days a week, 8 to 10 hours a day for the first 2 years of her life. Like, we were inseparable. We still maintain that same loving relationship. Like, I am 100% her safe space. I'm who she comes to when anything goes wrong. Um, I've always encouraged her to be honest with me. So she has told me during the process, she's told me, she's like, "I just want my normal dad. Why can't you just be normal?" And I would sit and have conversations with her and explain to her why. And, you know, uh, I think the biggest thing for her was seeing the difference, not only in how happy I was with being divorced, with how happy I was presenting as a female. And I did everything at her pace. And a lot of people in the trans community have given me crap because they're like, "Oh my God, like, you haven't changed your voice yet. You haven't even changed your name yet. Like, you're not getting surgeries. Like, how can you call yourself trans?" And it's like, well, because I'm doing everything at the pace that is comfortable for my daughter. And that's more important to me than me. Like, if
Yes,
my daughter
yes.
looked at me and said, "No effing way, dad. No, can't do this. Ain't happening," I wouldn't be here today. I would be 100%
Really, you
yes.
wouldn't continue
Nope.
regardless.
I would be. If she
No.
was like, "Nope, can't do it. No, no way." I would not.
So she's really is your center of gravity and the moral compass to
Oh,
which
yeah.
you yeah.
Yeah. But,
Yeah.
like, right
Mhm.
down to, like, my voice therapy sessions, like, she would sit and read with me. Because like, when you have a child and you're reading books to them, like, your voice naturally gets softer. You get that more loving type tone. So, like, reading children's books when she was 6 years old was the easiest way for me to take my deep voice, which is this is my normal voice, to change it to something a little bit lighter, like, this is what I've gotten to, this is my comfort zone now. But
Yeah.
when reading and when I pause and take my time, I can soften my voice up even a little bit more. So when I read to her, like, I can read to her like this, and I can talk to her like that, and I have to take my time to do this because changing your voice is not easy, it's difficult. So and between that and taking her to my surgeons, so she could, meet with the surgeons and hear what they had to say, and they would like explain to her in a way that she could understand how daddy's face is going to change and stuff like that, like the healing process and how she has to be like helpful and like mindful of my healing process and that and dressing. Like she's the one. It was her that decided, like, you don't need to dress as a boy anymore, daddy. So everything's at her pace. She is definitely the center of my world.
I'm interested in what you just said about, obviously there's going to be those moments of grief and loss, where she may feel like, I wish I had daddy, or daddy in the form that existed. How do you respond to that, or how is that for you,
So I haven't changed anything in that aspect.
Mm.
So like so many people ask me all the time, like, does she call you mommy? And I'm like, God, no. No, she has a mom. She has a mother. She doesn't need another one. Like, that's it. Like, I am her dad. She knows I'm her dad. Like, I still treat her the same. I still pick her up and throw her around and play with her like the way a dad would. Like, I do everything I can to make sure that she knows I'm still dad. The only thing that's changed is that we've added on the concept of like more girl things. Like, we go shopping together, we get our nails done together, like, go to the salon together. Like, we do girl things together. And she loves it. I've even had her mother send me text message like, "Could you not take her to the salon for once so I could take her?" And it's like, "Oh, sorry. Like, I didn't realize that you were still going to the salon that much. So yeah, no, I'll stop taking so you can take her. Go right ahead."
And we just commented before we came on that your beautiful nails today are completely matching my top.
Yep.
So yeah. So I suppose another question I had: what has kind of surprised you most about this journey?
I think the biggest surprise for me has been people's reaction that have known me to have
Yeah.
said to me, like, "I have never seen you so happy. I have never seen you smile." People have literally said to me point blank, like, "Do you have any idea how much kinder you are?" Because like, I've been a strength coach for, like, 25 years, and, like, I've always been that strength coach that's like, I don't sugarcoat anything, and I don't put up with people's, like, bullshit excuses. So, like, when people are like, "Oh, I can't do this, I can't do that," I'm like, "No, can't means won't. Shut the hell up and just do what you're freaking told and do it right." And, like, now it's like I went from, like, Coach Dave to Coach Daviana, and it's like I have this softer side where it's like I can still say the same thing, but I say it a little bit softer. And instead of getting frustrated and being rough around the edges after one time, it's like it takes 3 or 4 times for me to get that way. So, like, a lot of people have just been like, "Wow." So I grew up with some coaches, some of the best coaches in the powerlifting world ever. And one of the things they always said is like, we don't focus on the positive. We only focus on the negative. Because when you pay someone a compliment or when you talk to somebody about their bad form and then end the conversation with their good form, they focus on the good form, not the bad form. And when you're lifting a lot of weight, it's very important that you're focusing on what you're doing wrong. So it's like we always focused on the negative. Like, I don't give a shit about what you did good. I need to tell you what you did bad. So like that was a big thing. And like now it's like people are always just like, did you just give me a compliment? And I'm like, "Did I?" They're like, "Oh, God, I wish I had that on recording. You just gave me a compliment. Like, that's been 5 years and I've never once got a compliment from you." And it's like, yep, I'm a little nicer nowadays.
Yeah. So it sounds like what you're saying is that, now more than ever, your inner world is actually lined up with your outer world, and that is creating a sense of real grounded authenticity, which feels good, you
Very
know?
good. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I'm interested in about, how this journey may or may not have shaped your ideas about femininity and masculinity, and any sort of new perspectives around those roles and as they stand today.
So, I mean, I think growing up in the strength world, where you see lots of very, very large men and also very large females, um, that are they're all beautiful in their own way. So, like, so many people have said to me, like, "Oh, don't you think you should, like, shrink down your muscles so you can appear more feminine?" And it's like, I know some girls that can squat like 600 pounds and like they are big and muscular and they are absolutely stunningly beautiful. And when they're not under the bar, they are the most feminine girly girls that you've ever met in your life, where they're like, "Oh my God, I just broke an L." Like that, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think in today's world, where we should definitely be at a point where femininity and masculinity it's not based on the cover of the book.
No.
Like, and I think so many people still have that concept. Like, I think you can have a beautiful woman that's actually very masculine. You can have, and like, she doesn't appear masculine, but her mannerisms are masculine. So I think femininity and masculinity is based more on how you act and less on what you look like.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, is there parts, I suppose, is there parts of yourself that you still feel, as you're talking about it, you're obviously really feeling much more settled in your environment, but are there parts of you that still feel misunderstood, or undiscovered, Does it still feel very much like an ongoing process and journey?
So for me, the ongoing process and journey is like, I definitely want to change my voice. Uh,
Yeah, okay.
And so many people like, "Your voice is amazing, like, I love it, it's like ASMR, it's such a great voice," and it's like, at first, like, before my second facial surgery, like, I didn't really care, but after my second facial surgery and after seeing, like, my face starting to take a more feminine shape and, like, start to have, like, not that chiseled jawline, and, like, I tell the people in my TikTok lives all the time, like, sometimes I look at the camera and I'm like, "Is that me? Is that real?" Like, wow, like, that's me. And I've had people be like, "Oh my God, I came across your live," and I was like, "Who is this beautiful woman?" And then I hear you speak and I'm like, "Oh, it's a trans woman." And it's like, I wanna get rid of that. Like, I want that to go away. You know what I mean? And then my Adam's apple, which is obviously still very prominent, like, they do have a trachea shave where they shave that down. So I mean, moving forward, those are the 2 things that I definitely wanna do, uh, to, adjust myself to feel more whole. Um, and I am, what I like to tell everybody, very pro pickle.
Yeah.
At the same time, I've always wanted it gone, uh,
Mhm.
but I'm very scared of bottom surgery because it comes with a lot of risks and a lot of potential, like, appearance issues,
Yeah, sure.
and I want everything on my body to be very beautiful.
Absolutely perfect.
Yes, and, like, right now, and I always thought this was a weird compliment, but once I got it, I started getting it more frequent. I have a very beautiful pickle, and I'd like to keep it that way. I just
Sure.
if I can't get from beautiful pickle to a beautiful flower, I don't want the flower.
Sure. I think that feels fair. Absolutely. So sort of moving on a little bit, obviously as we said at the beginning, like you're pretty vocal. And when I say vocal, it's difficult. I don't even like use saying that actually, because what I think is just truth telling, right? You're just up telling your truth
Correct.
is the reality. But you often share views that some people, feel unexpected, as a quote unquote trans woman.
Mhm.
Um, how do you approach that, and how do you approach sharing your views?
I just share them without caring what people are gonna think.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Is it
the other
always
thing
just
too,
literally been that simple?
yeah, and, like, so everybody says, like, when you start to explain things, people are always like, "Oh, it's not that simple." And it's like, "Well, no, it really is that simple." Like, and I think this is the
Mm.
drastic difference between like the way men think versus the way women think. You can say like a 5-word direct sentence to a woman and she's going to interpret it as opposed to just, okay, these 5 words mean these 5 things and I'm going to do that. Whereas she will look at those 5 words and be like, well, what does this word really mean? And what does that word mean? And what does this word mean with that word? And maybe it's supposed to mean this. Whereas a man's brain is generally going to be like, okay, that's simple. I'll do that. Done. It's very matter of fact. And with explanation, you end up at the same conclusion, but it takes explanation. I just like I skip the explanation. And then the other thing is like for me, it's like everyone talks about feelings and people's feelings getting hurt. And it's like, so what? And like people call me sir and man and dude all the time. It's not it's not untrue. So then how can my feelings be hurt by it? You know, when it's like I remember I had a client once who like I have almost never been extremely overweight. I've never been extremely overweight. I have been what I have considered to be for myself out of shape and fat for
Yeah, right.
myself. And I called myself fat one day and I had one of my clients look at me and be like, "Don't you think you shouldn't use that word?" I'm like, "Why?" They're like, "Well, you know, people might be offended." I'm like, "I'm talking about myself." They're like, "Yeah, but still." I'm like, "Still what?" If I'm talking to someone who's 350 pounds and they're 5'5" and they get offended because I call them fat, that's not my problem. That's their problem. Like, and people are like, "Oh, well, you can be nicer about it." And it's like, I literally had this conversation this morning with someone online. I was just like, being nice about things is why we're in the problem, all the problems that we have in the world. It's why we're here. It's because we're too focused on trying to be nice. It's the same thing as like correcting the good things or telling people the good things, but not the bad.
Yeah. Yes,
Try to be
sure.
so nice about something. People like, oh, well, you know, they make it seem like it's not that bad. It's like, oh, well, you know, we really need to talk about your weight. You know, you're pre-diabetic, you're this, you're that. No, we don't need to talk about your weight. You need to stop eating like a fucking pig. And you need to, you know what I mean? You, you need to eat right and you need to get in shape. Period. That's what you need to do. Like it needs to be set in stone. It's the same thing. Like when people call me man, dude, or sir, like I don't get offended. That's the truth. Like, and if it hurts my feelings, that's my problem. It's not their problem. It's mine. I'm responsible for my feelings. Everybody else should be responsible for their own feelings.
Okay, all right. And so, as far as you're concerned, you're speaking your truth, you're being uncensored with it, and it's for the receiver to interpret it, however they wish, and for them to do their own work around it. It sounds like you're saying,
Yeah. So think of it this way, right? When someone calls you, let's take an easy one. Someone calls you a dickhead, right?
yeah,
It's insulting, right?
it's a lot, Daviana.
But someone calls you, it's insulting, right?
Yeah.
But let's break it down from a more therapeutic sense. It's
Mm,
2 nouns put together to get a prescribed response.
mm-hmm.
It's that simple. And as soon as you can realize that and process it, you're never going to be offended or insulted ever again because it's not going to bother you. What does that mean? Someone calls you a dickhead. It means that that person clearly is upset about something and they figured that you're going to be the outlet that they use.
Yeah.
It happens all the
Yeah,
time.
I actually do say in my work, that there is nothing that you can say that's going to offend me. There is, I want you to fundamentally be yourself. I want you in all of that authenticity. And if that is difficult for me at points, then that is for me to contain.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really, really important because it's very difficult to come to therapy, particularly psychosexual therapy, and speak your truth if you're also simultaneously caveating it and caveating it and caveating it.
Yeah. And trying not to feel embarrassed or feel judged.
Absolutely. Like better not say that to the therapist. And actually I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in what you've got to say and how you're going to say it. And then I can help, right? or not, you know? But okay, and so so I suppose in terms of your actual sort of center of gravity, what are the kind of the values that feel most central to you on this topic then? It sounds like one of the things that you just said is that biology matters. Like there is a sense, or but it's valid, it matters, or it's valid to some degree.
I think, I mean, for me, the biggest thing is like, being okay with who you were,
Yeah,
and realizing where you came from and how you started, and being fundamentally okay with that, and realizing that that part is never going away. It's never gonna go away. Like, it's always gonna be there. It's always gonna be in the background, and realizing that, like, there's consequences to your actions. So, if you decide to become a trans person of any kind, there's consequences, period. And you might wanna not label them as consequences because you wanna change the label to make it sound nicer, but, as a trans woman, I can't compete anymore. I can't no, let me rephrase that. I can't compete against other women in the sport that I like. I have a powerlifting meet coming up in 2 weeks.
yeah, okay,
Am competing in the men's division against other men because I am a biological male. Like, that's just something that is a consequence of it. Like, am I gonna do exceptionally well? No, but I don't care. I'm there for me.
yeah, sure,
You know what I mean? So how I measure up against other guys that are gonna be in my age group and my weight class doesn't matter to me. I'm there to see how my strength is after all of this and put myself to the test up on the platform as best I can. It has nothing to do with like, "Oh, I need to go make a statement as a trans woman. I'm gonna now compete in the women's division and demolish all these women because I am a woman now." Like, no, the fuck I'm not.
yeah, okay. And in terms of pushback then, in terms of the kind of the pushback you get, do you find that there is, is that within the trans community, outside of the trans community,
The only
all of the above?
Yeah, most of the pushback I get is from the trans community because 'cause they're like, "You're ruining it for us. You're a pick me. Trump hates you." Like, it's just the amount of, like, nonsense that comes out of people's mouths is just ridiculous, and it's like, "Oh, Trump hates your guts." I'm like, "Trump doesn't know me.
Yeah.
He hates everything
Yeah.
we stand for." No. No, no. Like,
So how do you feel about that?
I think it's laughable.
Yeah, okay.
It doesn't bother me. I just laugh at it. I'm like, "Alright, you go live your ridiculous truth. Have fun."
Yeah, okay. So I think that leads on to my other question, which was just about, if you're speaking your truth, and with potential harm or misunderstanding your views about that.
So people ask me that question all the time. They're like, "You're doing a lot of harm to the trans community." I'm like, "How am I doing that?" I'm like, "I'm speaking about me."
Yeah, okay.
I'm like, "I'm not speaking about the trans community." They're like, "Well, that's your community." I'm like, "No, it's not." They're like, "How is it not? You're trans." I'm like, "So is there a straight community? Is there a white middle-aged man community? Like, is there a community for everything that we all have to fit in and belong to?" I'm like, "My community is my family, my friends, and my loved ones. That's my community. My community, because I'm trans, is not all of a sudden I don't all of a sudden have a bond with every trans person in the world. Like, that's just ridiculous. Like,
Yeah,
no.
sure. Sure. So has this I'm interested in, you mentioned friends and community there, like has going through this journey, have you lost any friend? You talked about lots of people who have said, have given lots of positive reinforcement, but have you lost any friends along the way or
Yeah, I had one friend that kinda walked away and was very, like, he had a hard time dealing with it for probably about 3 months. And then, like, I literally just was like, "Dude," I'm like, "Just come to the" 'cause at the time I still had my gym, I'm like, "Just come to the gym and talk to me." And so he came in and, like, he first started in with the, "If you need help, I'll get you help," and, like, all this stuff, and then, like, the conversation went from that to just the 2 of us just talking because 'cause we'd been friends since we were in school, since school age. And so we spent 3 hours just talking, and he was like, "Alright, I really gotta get going, this, that, and the other thing," and I looked at him and I'm like, "Hey, can I ask you something?" He's like, "What?" I'm like, "All this time we just spent talking," I said, "Did you feel like you were talking to anybody different besides Dave?" And he goes, "No." I'm like, like, see my point? And he's like, yeah, I see your point. And then like a month later, we talk all the time like normal friends again. And it's just like, it's an adjustment period because people look at who I used to be, and then now they look at like they're like wow, like how did this happen? And they want to know, and I get that. And like if I'm going to keep my friends, I need to be able to explain to them like this is how this happened, and this is the way it was, and this is how I felt, and like yeah, I didn't share this from you to you because I was afraid to. Like
Yeah, absolutely. So you said, obviously that it comes with consequences, but it sounds like what you're saying is that is the cost as far, certainly as far as friendships are concerned, there has been few losses.
there hasn't been any losses. I haven't lost a second one.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk to you a bit about your DS coaching,
Okay,
if that was all right.
of course.
Moving on, because this was the kind of the other topic that we talked about, and I'm really interested in this. In terms of concern about DS power play, and kind of the work that you do generally around it. Um, so could you explain, I suppose first of all, kind of what we're talking about when we're talking about DS and what we're talking about when we're talking about power play as far as you're concerned?
So with me, I am a pain and pleasure specialist.
Yeah.
So I was introduced into the domination and submission world when I was 20, 20 or 21. I think I was 21. My last year in the Marine Corps by a um, female dominatrix. But as far as coaching goes, for the most part, I teach people. And wait, you asked what does it mean to be dom sub? So
Yeah, how would you, for people that don't know, when we're talking about a DS dynamic or a power play dynamic, what fundamentally are we talking about?
you're talking about one person
Mm,
who is more dominant and one person who's more submissive. Um, and a lot of people would think that that just means a dominant person and a submissive person, and that's not quite what it's about.
mm-hmm,
Generally, to like, I'm going to try to keep this extremely like generalized, so that way we don't get into like talking for hours here. Um, most people don't understand that the submissive is the one that has and holds most of the power. And it is the submissive that is entrusting the dominant to take them to their limits and not beyond, and respect their limits. So it's a very high respecting and trusting relationship. I would say more so than a marriage, uh, especially when you start talking about impact play, because now you're talking about pain. So you're trusting someone to hurt you in a way that you enjoy, in a way that makes you feel what it is you're trying to get. And for everybody's different. Some people are like sincerely enjoy the pain. Other people use it as a way to like break their brain from continuing to just constantly run. Everybody has their own reason as to why they like it. And they're entrusting whoever they choose as a dominant to control their scene, control the time that they spend together in a way that is going to satisfy them mentally, sometimes sexually, not all the time, is going to give them the release that they're looking for, or give them the impact that they're looking for mentally or physically. And yeah, I would say most of the women that I see that are into impact, it is almost generally always to get either their mind to slow down, or it's to I had one that was the literally the only way that she could orgasm was through pain.
mm-hmm.
Now that could be from some sort of childhood trauma. It could be from all sorts of different things. It could be from just straight up curiosity. Uh, so many people, I think, literally lean to the fact that, like, oh, if someone likes that, they must have some crazy childhood trauma, and it's not always the case. So people have grown up in like this, what I would consider like a picturesque, like great parenting, and like there was no abuse in the home, whether it was physical or verbal, and it's just like they saw this one day on TV or something like that, and were just like, huh, I want to try that. What's that all about? Uh, a lot of my coaching comes from people that are just straight up curious, and that other people that have dabbled into it and have gotten hurt. and they are looking to either learn uh, what it's all about, and then I've dealt with some people that have been married for like 20 plus years, and one of them is like, "Hey, I want to try this," and the other one's like, "I can't do that to you." Like, no way.
Yeah, right.
Let's hire someone to do that to you. Uh, and then it's surprising. Maybe I'll get into it another time, but I had this one couple that came to me that were just absolutely amazing how much they loved each other, and how much they appreciated learning. And literally, they took it and ran with it. And it was like every now and then they still check in with me and they're very, very grateful for what they learned.
Right, okay. So in terms of the, obviously we're coming from very different perspectives. Like obviously I'm a psychosexual relationship therapist, so I'm talking to people about, kink, DS, power play all the time, talking about consent, boundaries. Again, there's nothing around, judgment there, but just helping people to explore what they might want and why they might want it. And it's interesting what you said as well about the kind of, is this a trauma response? And I was talking to my ex kink tutor, who did the lectures around this, exact subject. And kind of, I think we were thinking we might do a bit more work around that because it's just interesting, to understand it. It doesn't necessarily change the outcome. Um, but what for you personally, how do you approach it? You just mentioned couples there. So like, are you seeing individuals and couples? Is it online? Is it in person? Are you what like boundaries are you setting?
So, boundaries I set
A
is
lot of questions all
yes,
in
a lot of
one.
questions. So, I mostly in person is mostly all couples. And it's very much interactive as to where I will, whichever one is the submissive, I will explain and teach the other one what I'm doing and why I'm doing it and how I'm doing it, like what tool I'm using for impact. And like usually I will, so for instance, this is my office essentially at home, and this can very easily convert into more of like a picturesque type dungeon with all sorts of tools hanging from the wall and massage table and stuff like that. And I will allow them to come in and look around and pick and choose what they want to use. And then from there, I will coach them on like how to use it because it's not as simple as like just picking something up and hitting somebody with it. That's not what it's all about. And so many people just like, oh, I can do this, and that's the case. And then um, the biggest thing is we're not um, educational dominatrixes usually get lumped in with sex workers, and we're not sex workers. Like there is no sexual contact whatsoever. Um, and if there is going to be anything like that, it needs to be between the two of them, not me. Okay. So that has to take it right out of it. Now, when I have a submissive partner, obviously things are drastically different. At that point, we can add in more of the pleasure play, which is something that I enjoy more than anything else is combining pain and pleasure for me is that's what makes me tick. That's what like drives me to like my sexual capacity is like I like to give pain and pleasure to someone that enjoys pain and pleasure combined. I don't like to give strict pain. I don't like to give strict pleasure. I like the both combined.
Okay.
With clients, I meet everybody in person ahead of time. Like I never like, and it's out in a public space for coffee or something like that, and I explain the ground rules. And then I let them sit with it. Usually, like we usually have like an hour coffee meeting, and I would say 50% of the time, that's the last time I ever see them.
Yeah. Okay.
So many people just want a conversation where they can feel that they can sit in front of a neutral party that's going to literally look at their, like, let's say you have a husband and a wife, and you can tell very easily when one's holding back because they're afraid of what everyone's going to say. And I'll just be like, well, forget they're here and just talk to me. Tell me what you want. Tell me what you want them to do to you, and like, because of that, they'll be able to more blurt it out. And that helps a lot. So like right off the bat, like, so when I see people, there's always a charge just for meeting them for coffee because 50 to 65% of the time, like, I'm never gonna see them again after that. That's all they need. They need someone to let them know that what they want is okay. And it's like, the biggest thing I tell people, I'm like, "Look, it's your bedroom.
Mm,
You go in that bedroom, you close the door, do whatever the heck makes you happy, and it's your partner. So no matter who's like, it's your partner. You love this person, married this person, you had children with this person. You should be doing whatever it is you can to make that person happy." You know what I mean? If they want you to slap them in the face and spit in their mouth, like, then do it. If they're gonna like that, then do it. Who cares? It's your bedroom. You know what I mean? Like, and like a lot of people are just, they're really stuck on the whole concept of like, oh my God, that's like, I mean, can I do that? Should I do that? Like, is it okay that I like that? And it's like, you can like whatever you want to like. And I think a lot of it with most clients is just that, to the point where even when I see clients in person, like for actual like learning about tools, it's more conversation than anything else. People just want someone to talk to that they can feel comfortable being like, is this weird? You don't think it's weird, it's not weird, and that's all that really matters.
yeah, and then again, for my job, that's what I'm normalizing. You know, everything's okay if you can. How do you navigate safety and consent and boundaries? What are you teaching them around that?
I teach them to have a full on conversation about what they like ahead of time. And then
Hmm.
when it comes to impact play, I like to do everybody on a number system. So
Yeah. Okay.
I teach them like the basic scale of 1 through 10, whether they're going to be with me or whether they're going to be with their spouse at home. Like, start soft and work your way up, and respect the whole concept of like, okay, after each time I do this, give me a number. And then when we get to a number that is like a comfortable number that you like, I'll do my best to stay in that number. And then you teach them safe words, obviously. And no, safe words are not things like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Those are not safe words. People always laugh. It's like, oh, this my safe word's pineapple, and I'm like, no. They're like, what do you mean no? Like, first of all, it's just more than one. And they're like, what do you mean more than? And I like to use I love to use the traffic signal. I think it's the easiest way to be as safe as
Yeah. Yeah.
possible, because with the traffic signal, it's like, okay, we're going to start on green, and I don't want to go from green to red, because red is like, okay, hard stop. I don't want to go to green to red. I want there to be an intermediate safe word in between that says, okay, we're getting close. Like, don't go in, like, we're at the cautionary area. So either lighten up or don't go any harder, or read my body language a little bit better if I'm not going to speak, if I'm gagged, if I'm whatever, stuff like that. So you teach them all sorts of safety things. Like, there's so many different tricks to, like, I mean, so many people like to be choked. Like, that's a humongous thing. And it's like, well, what do you do? And how do you tell? And it's like, well, you got to teach the person that's being choked, like a simple safety mechanism. Like, if you're on the bottom and you like being choked, your arms raised up. It's that simple. And then when you've had enough because you can't speak, you just drop your arm and we let go. It's that simple. Like, it's so easy to really navigate these things, but people just don't know. And they're just afraid to talk about it. It's fear of embarrassment, I think, more than anything else.
Yeah, it's still, again, I mean, we talked about this really briefly. I mean, absolutely, it still remains taboo, but equally, just talk, in my experience, again, like just simply talking about sex is still taboo. It's
People ask
so taboo.
People ask me that all the time. So in my lives, people will make like, they'll say something that's very easy to turn into a sexual joke, and I'll turn it into. And they're like, why is everything so sexual with you? I'm like, why is it not with you?
Yeah.
Like, why is it not? Why is it that when the concept of sex comes up, you freeze up and go, oh my God?
Yeah. Well, but again, because we've got cultural and social scripts, we feel a lot of shame. And we felt that shame growing up, and sex is bad, and we haven't quite overcome that. We haven't got to the other side of it, and I think we've still got a really, really long way to go. Sadly, like I say, there's so much trepidation, so much tentativeness about people even having that conversation. They come to a sex therapist like me, it's probably taking them 2 years, you know? to build up the courage to do that. So we definitely need to do more about normalizing sex generally, let alone kink, power play, all of those other areas. Um, how one of the things that I was kind of interested in is how sort of kink and power play and DS and the coaching work that you're doing has shaped your own identity and your feelings about your body.
So the only thing that I would say that has shaped it has been the choice of outfits. And the reason that being said is so like when I do have clients in person, um, I want them to experience the full concept of it. So like I don't want them to come to an office with a desk in it with me sitting down, wearing like an outfit like you're wearing. I want them to come and see me dressed as a dominatrix so they can get that full feeling of like, oh my God, look at this powerful dominatrix, like, you know what I mean? So for me, that has shaped my thought process on like, okay, I need to stay focused on my diet. I need to make sure that like I don't allow my waistline to get too big. Uh, like, and for me, recent, like, so I've during this last year, I've stopped taking any clients simply because of the fact that I've had so many surgeries that the last thing I want to do is take clients when I have a bruised face. I haven't been able to work out much, so I've been out of shape to my standards. And like, I have my own standards. And some people are like, oh my God, you got a beautiful body. And it's like, yeah, that's great that you feel that way, but I'm not there. And it's my body, so it's about me. So as far as shaping my appearance because of that, has been strictly because of like I want to and feel the need to present in a certain way when I'm going to take clients.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. What do you think? I think you've already said it. I think you've already said it really, but what do you think sort of people most misunderstand about power play?
I think people most misunderstand about power play is that they think the dominant one is the one that is just gung ho, take control, do what I say, and that's the end of it. And that is so not the case. Absolutely not the case.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. And where do you see power play as something that is very healing, and where do you see it as something that potentially could be harmful? If taken or utilized in the wrong way.
So healing, I would say, I had a submissive partner once who um, had a very high stress job, and she would get migraines and pains and everything like that. And she would come to me once a week for very extreme impact play, um, human furniture, just complete and total solitude. And it would be the only thing that would clear her mind. And between that, and we'll get into the concept of aftercare, but she didn't even want any aftercare.
Right. Okay.
That would hold her over for about 4 or 5 days of being able
Mm-hmm.
or functioning at work, less headaches, less filled with anxiety for a good 4 or 5 days. She'd be able to breeze through the week at work, no problem whatsoever. And it would consistently be something she would tell me. She goes, "My week is so much better when I get to come and see."
Fundamentally because of that switching off, completely switching off.
Yep. And she was a combination of a client slash partner. So we, I would say, went probably 6 to 8 months of seeing each other once a week with zero sexual content whatsoever. And it wasn't until we became somewhat play partners that some content got involved, but never, ever any sexual contact whatsoever. And then the concept of where it can be potentially dangerous is, and this happened with one of my exes, perfect example. Um, we were having a scene and she was asking consistently for harder and harder impact. And at first it seemed like she was trying to like push her limits, like intentionally, and she wanted it. And then, um, there was tears in her eyes, which is not uncommon. But I noticed it was a little bit different. So I stopped and I was like, what's going on? And she explained to me that she was trying to uh, get over a death in the family it was an old time death, but like it was around that time, and she was trying to beat the depression out of her.
Using it as the wrong vehicle,
Yeah.
basically, to get somewhere potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right
Okay.
there on the spot, I did a very cold stop. I'm like, we're done. That's it. I wrapped her up in a blanket, gave her a nice big hug, and we ended the scene. That was it. We're done. I'm like, no, 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 this is not. We don't use this to beat feelings away. Like this is not we're not here to get beat up. That is not what we're here for. And that's what she was it as.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah,
you can
exactly.
have dominants that use it in the wrong way, but I think you can also have submissives that use it the wrong way.
You talked about aftercare there, and obviously, again, we're often faced with the drop. They talk about the real drop after a scene, after quite a lot of impact play, or whether it's emotional play, whatever it is. Could you just talk to that a little bit, kind of the drop and then the aftercare, and your thoughts and views on that, and how to make sure that safety is contained.
I would say think of it as like the easiest way for the general person to kind of understand of it is to think of it as like something that gives you an adrenaline rush, and then that
Yeah.
rush goes away, and need time to regulate. Because if that rush goes away and it's like boom, it's gone, and then you go and you jump in your car and go for a drive, like you're not gonna be able to focus on the drive at all. So it's like you need that time to come down and get yourself centered again. Now, with a partner, that can look like something like, okay, the scene is over. Okay, we're done. You get them in the shower, like while they're showering a little bit on their own, you clean up the mess so that way they don't have to deal with it. And then you go and you join them in the shower, you wash their body for them, you caress them, you're loving, you're touching, you're caring, maybe you wash their hair, whatever. In that aspect, you get out, you snuggle a little bit, whether it's like on the couch or in bed, and you hold them and you tell them and express how much you love them, and there's gratitude and stuff like that. That would be an aftercare between partners. After with a client, you don't want to build that kind of a bond with a client. So that's where aftercare gets a little bit tricky. So like, depending upon your setting, aftercare can look at something as simple as like drawing them a candlelit bath and telling them like, I drew a bath for you. Go have a time, relax, take your time, whatever. The towels in there, your clothes are in there, like you're all set. I had a scene at a club. I go to a club out here that has a Dutch in it, and I did an impact scene with a submissive that wanted to really, really push her boundaries with pain. And in the club, you have an audience, which for most people, when there's an audience, you want to try harder.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
she wanted to try harder to the point where like there was tears coming out of her eyes, and she was like reaching back and begging for me to stop, but at the same time begging me not to stop. And that is where safe words come into play, because stop is not a safe word. I mean, that's her body is saying stop, but her mind is saying, I'm not saying this word. I don't want you to stop. I want you to keep going. And that's one of the things you have to interpret as a dominant and realize where your submissive is at. Like, do they really want you to stop? Are they so dumbfounded they can't think of their safe word? But thankfully, it was not my first time with this client, so, like, I knew very well that that meant keep going. And we kept going, and then eventually the word "red" came out of her mouth, and the only thing I did at that point is walked around in front of her, knelt down because she was on a what we call a horse, a spank horse. Knelt down in front of her, and she was just, like, smiling, but trying to breathe really heavy, and I just sat there, and I was like, "Look at me. Take a deep breath with me. Come on, deep breath." And she would take a deep breath, like, hold it, exhale. Did that like 5 or 6 times. I would rub her hair and be like, "You're a very good girl." I'm like, "Thank you so much for allowing me to do that. You are a very good girl. I'm so proud of you." And being told that she was like how proud I was of her and stuff like that, like it really solidified for her, like what she just did and the boundary she just pushed. And
Totally. And yeah, so that the aftercare aspect, whether it's relationally or with a coach or, somebody else like externally, is a really, really important part of the process no matter what.
oh, absolutely, yeah, you have to have it.
Yeah. I'm interested in how your, given your journey, given all this amazing, discussion we've had today, how your relationship with sex has evolved, given in the context
Uh,
of your journey.
so my relationship with sex has evolved to being, like I've literally come up with my own new label.
Okay.
People ask me all the time, so you're bi, or you're pan, or you're this, you're that, and I'm like, I'm just me. And then people are like, what does that mean? I'm like, I'm fun. Like I am fun sexual. And like they're like, I'm like, I want people in my life sexually that are non-judgmental, open-minded, fun, willing to experience everything and anything, and open to whatever fantasy they have. It's like, you have a fantasy that you want to fulfill, then let's go fulfill it. Like, whatever. If it's one of those fantasies that you're like, this is super hot, but I'm never going to do that. Okay, fine. But like, if you have this fantasy, like, oh my God, I really like, I want this. I know it sounds gross. And I'd be like, it's not gross. Let's go. Let's go. I'm, like, I'm in it. I'm here for you. Let's go. Like, let's do it. Like, so with me and fortunately enough for me at the moment, my current partner is very much the same way. And she is just like, let's go. I'm in. Let's do it. And so it's great in that way. So I would say that going through all this, it has definitely opened my eyes to be like, why say no?
Much more exploratory.
Yeah, and like exploratory in a fun way. Like I don't look at people like I don't look at potential play partners, someone that I'm going to play with, or someone that me and my partner are going to play with, as like, oh, they need to be this hot, or they need to be this tall, or they need to be this thin. It's more like this person is giving off a vibe that just feels so good. Like I can't wait to play. Like this is gonna be fun. We're gonna have a good time. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. And then like people that like talk about like, well, how do you involve another person in your relationship? And it's like, well, another person is like having another vibrator in the room. Like it's there. Like when you're done, you put them away and you walk away. It's like, thank you. I appreciate it. We had a great time. Maybe we'll see you again. Maybe we won't. And then after that, go off with your partner and you reminisce and you get all turned on all over again about how great it was.
Mm. So you have a sort of ethically non-monogamous relationship,
No, I wouldn't say that.
albeit you have a sort of how would you describe, or again, but not describe. Again, I think you're saying, like whatever, wherever.
Yeah, but it's together.
Yeah,
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 it's together.
yeah.
So it's like it's brings me back to the concept of your bedroom. When you and your partner are in your bedroom behind closed doors, it doesn't matter what toy comes out. It doesn't matter what kink you involve yourself in. Even if that kink involves 9,000 other people at the exact same moment, like obviously I'm being like ridiculously over, but like if you're closing the bedroom door and there's two other guys and three other women in there and it's you and your partner, then so be it. That's your bedroom. That's your privacy. That's your world. You can choose to share it with the world or you can choose to keep it to yourself. It doesn't really matter. Like that's your bedroom. Don't have any hangups about what you want to do in your bedroom. Do what you want to do. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. What does a good life look like for you now, Daviana?
A good life? um, honestly, I don't know. Like a good life is just continuing to first and foremost focus on my daughter's well-being, a safe space. And when I say safe space, I don't mean it like the way people use that term today. Uh, like raising her right, teaching her the do's and don'ts and stuff like that, and then having a partner that is gonna join me in that same journey as well as join me in the journey of just being us, whatever that may be. Even if that turns into being just me and that person and nothing else. Like there's I can't predict the future.
No.
You know what I mean? Like to sit here and be like, my life is gonna be like this. It's like, well, is it? I don't know. It's the saying is like, yesterday's gone, today is now, and tomorrow is promised to no one. So live your best life today, and whatever that best life brings you, it brings you. Like, so for instance, today I've already been told that I'll be going out plowing tonight. So like, what's my life look like for today? Like after this, I got to make a video for one follower's little girl who got bullied about wearing the rainbow. So I'm going to make a video about that and dedicate it to her. And then I'm probably going to go work out in my garage, pick up the phone and chat with my girlfriend a little bit. And my daughter's mother today. So she's safe. I don't have to worry about her. So like, that's it. Like, I live my life like for the most part one day at a time, and like everything else is like, you obviously you have your bills, you have this you have to worry about, and this, that, and the other thing. But in the grand scheme of things, like you just keep like it's like birthdays. People are like, oh my God, you're another year older. I'm like, no, I'm another day older, and then who really cares? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I want to just continue to have fun experiences. I don't want to have to say no to anything that excites me. Comes to the concept of sexuality. Like, if I think this is going to be fun, like, then let's go. I don't care what's between your legs. Like, I don't care. Like, if you say, hey, I want to do X, Y, and Z, and it sounds like it's going to be a good time and we have the time to do it and stuff like that, then all right, let's do it. Like, I'm in. Let's go. Let's have some fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So in a nutshell, my life is fun sexual in a nutshell. Like, I think
I'll
it's
take that, and that says I'll take that, and that feels like a really good moment to end the podcast. Obviously, with sex tells, because that's what sex tells you. But it's been honestly absolutely so lovely speaking to you. You're a real breath of fresh air. And I really appreciate the honesty. I really appreciate, the vulnerability to some extent. And it's just good to hear the nuance, and your journey so far. And I'm really happy to hear you're happy, and you're liberated. And
Thank you.
and
Appreciate
that's
it.
all we can ask for, right? There's not much else. Thank you,
Thank you.
Daviana.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.